Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. Today is Monday, September 16th. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus, and before we get into our segment 4, we have some breaking news. Breaking news coming out of the NFL. Another receiver from the Rams is going on to IR. Cooper Kupp joins Puka Nacua on the IR as the Rams team is falling apart. Both of their top two receivers, half of their offensive line, their defense is going down. Matthew Stafford gets hurt. This is not the injury bug. The injury monster is after the Rams. They just have the worst injury luck. Now DeMarcus Robinson, number one receiver, maybe Tutu Atwell. We'll talk a little bit more about it, see who can step up tomorrow. But breaking news, the Rams send Cooper Kupp to the IR after he had such a promising start to his season, and he left early, right at about halftime in that game against the Cardinals this week. In this segment, though, we are going to talk a little bit about rookies. Maybe a rookie receiver from the Rams can step up. But we're going to take a look at the rookie report. We had a bunch of really good weeks from rookie receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. stepping out of the shadows, going 4 for 130 and 2 touchdowns. Malik Neighbors, his first ever 100-yard game, and more as Jaden Daniels gets his first win. We'll talk about the good, we'll talk about the bad as well. But before we get into that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you are on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Monday, September 16th. But like I was saying, in this segment here, we are going to get into the NFL rookie check-in, the NFL rookie report, and we're going to start off with the wide receivers because the wide receivers have been going off. Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jaguars scored another touchdown this week. He only had 2 catches, but he was incredibly effective for a Jaguars offense that's been very anemic to start off the season. But the top two rookie receivers really stood out. In Washington, we had a rookie-on-rookie battle. Malik Neighbors goes over 100 yards for the first time in his career, catches his first career touchdown, was cooking Washington's admittedly awful secondary. Completely, no one could guard him. He did drop a pass that maybe would have sealed the game. The Giants didn't have a kicker, so not sure if that actually would have sealed the game for the Giants. But 4th down, has a ball on the sideline, goes through his hands. The Commanders go down the field and kick the game-winning field goal. Shout out to Austin Siebert real quick. 7 field goals in a game. That's kind of crazy. The record's 8. We've been really close the last couple weeks. 2 6 field goal performances and a 7 field goal performance in the first 2 weeks. It's kind of insane. But regardless, the Giants and Malik Neighbors is going to be special, especially if the Giants are able to put another threat so he's not double and triple covered all the time. The way he can get open, the way that he's shifty in the field, being able to break long gains on short passes, the Giants should be able to use him very creatively. He looked awesome. Another fellow rookie receiver that went off I talked about in the intro, Marvin Harrison Jr., after a very quiet week, 1 catch for 4 yards, goes off. And it was all in the first quarter. 4 catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I know some people are going to be a little concerned that he didn't have any cover. He didn't have anything else after the first 2 quarters, but the Cardinals were up by 30 the rest of the game. They weren't throwing it, airing it out like that. So not too much to be concerned about. Marvin Harrison shows up in a big way, makes up for his week 1 performance. Kyler Murray, that connection with Marvin Harrison is going to be deadly, especially if they keep feeding him the ball. He only had 5 targets, so he's not that super number 1 option. But again, they weren't throwing the ball like that after the first quarter, after the first half especially, because they were up by so much against a very injury-depleted Rams team. But getting to the quarterbacks here. Excuse me, sorry about that. Getting to the quarterbacks here. We have one okay, two bad. Jaden Daniels in Washington gets his first win. He didn't score a single touchdown. Led 7 drives total. All of them ended in field goals. 6 of them he was able to get the Commanders down to the red zone. In none of them were they able to convert. Jaden Daniels needs to be able to punch in the touchdowns, especially against a Giants defense that isn't particularly impressive. Now, it's not an awful defense. I will say that. They have some guys, they have some names, but this is a Commanders team that ran about 30, I'm exaggerating here, but ran too many screen passes. Lots of quick game stuff, and especially against a Giants defense that is very good at getting to players and gang tackling them. That's not going to work. They need to be able to push the ball downfield. And the rare occasions that they were trying to push the ball downfield, the offensive line was not holding up enough against a very good Giants pass rush. They need to be able to develop stuff downfield, especially with their top receiver, Terry McLaurin. He was unable to get anything longer than 5 yards all game. Jaden Daniels did his thing. He did a very, very good job taking what was given to him, listening to the play calls, driving his team down the field, engineering a game-winning drive. That's all you can expect out of a rookie quarterback in his first ever home game. He did a great job. But you want to see more. He's a guy that is coming off of Rookie of the Week honors in Week 1, where he was just the best rookie quarterback. I don't expect him to win against this week. I expect that to go to Marvin Harrison. But still, we take a look at what he's doing with the rest, considering the rest of his quarterback in Patriots, and he is head and shoulders above the rest of them. For example, Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a guy that in preseason looked like one of the rising stars in football. He was able to complete almost all of his passes. He had a great completion percentage. The issue was, and still is, he has no idea, and the Broncos have no idea how to move the ball downfield. On throws that are longer than 5 yards in the air, he has the worst completion percentage in the NFL. I believe he's 11 for 36 with 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions in his first 2 games. And it's not like the receivers are trash. You have Courtland Sutton, who's a very good jump ball receiver. You have a lot of options, even for the dump down game, which is all that Bryce Young all that Bo Nix has been able to do effectively, which is not able to lead an offense. We saw what happened against Seattle, not very effective, scored a touchdown in garbage time with his legs. We saw what happened this week against the Steelers, and to call that anything but atrocious. I mean, the Steelers have a great defense. I know that. Everyone knows that. TJ Watt is a difference maker, a havoc causer, someone that you don't want to see lined up against you if you are a quarterback. But Bo Nix needs to be better at throwing the ball even 5 yards down the field. I brought out the 10-yard stat, but 5 yards, you can't even get it halfway to the sticks on first down. It's really disappointing. It really is. You're supposed to have an offensive genius at head coach in Sean Payton, but he's been incredibly conservative. We talked about it when we talked about the Saints. He's been incredibly conservative for the last few years of his career, and that isn't changing with Bo Nix. Whether that's what he expected out of Bo Nix or it's because all Bo Nix can do, it needs to change. Bo Nix needs to have the ability to throw the ball downfield. Otherwise, you're not going to win games. Maybe you turn to a guy like Jarrett Stidham. Maybe you turn to a guy like Zach Wilson, who at least at a minimum have the ability to push the ball downfield. And I'm not saying you need to make that change now. I'm just saying there is a line where if your quarterback is not able to throw it 10 yards down the field, if your quarterback is not able to throw it 5 yards down the field, you might as well line up in Wildcat every single play. You might as well not even have a quarterback on the field, because I bet you could have a running back that could run a couple screen passes. You know, But you need to have a quarterback that can threaten the ball down the field, open up those running lanes so the offense can be effective. And until that happens, the Broncos are going to continue to look like one of the worst offenses in the league. Bo Nix is not fixing that. And then the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has not looked great. He came out when he was drafted, texted the new punter out of Iowa, hey, you're not going to have to punt that much. He's punted for 200 yards more than the Bears' offense have gained. Caleb Williams, and it's not his fault. I'm not saying it is. Caleb Williams looked okay last night when he was able to get the ball out quick, like Jaden Daniels was doing all game. He was incredibly efficient, but it was all screen passes. It was all short passes, all first reads, all quick time passes. When he held the ball for any longer than like 2.5 seconds, that Bears offensive line was unable to help him, was unable to protect him for any kind of acceptable amount of time. That Bears offense was unable to hold back a Houston pass rush that, while it is very good, is nothing like some of these teams that they're going to play soon, is nothing like the Rams pass rush even, is nothing like the Lions pass rush. Aiden Hutchinson's with five sacks in just one game against the Bucs. A much better offensive line. You have to play them twice. This is going to be a tough year for Caleb Williams, and we saw his escapability. He was, even in vain, able to escape 4 out of 5 pass rushers a lot of the time. It's dangerous, though. He loses a lot of yards on those sacks. He gets in troubles. That's where he threw his interceptions against the blitz. He needs to be able to get that lookout, get better against the blitz. This Bears defense is doing everything they can to win these games. Everything. That Bears defense is awesome. They held a very good Texans offense to 19 points, turned them over in the red zone, kept the Bears in this game even when their offense was unable to move the ball point blank, period. If the Bears want to be a good team, if they want to not ruin another great defense like they did when Mitch Trubisky was here, they need to fix that offensive line, and they need to do it quickly because Caleb Williams is going to develop bad habits with the football if he's continuously rushed this much, this quickly. Now, he looks fine under pressure. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's been bad. He's been okay. But that offensive line, especially the interior offensive line, is unacceptable the way that they've been playing, and Caleb Williams is going to start to develop bad habits with them. And that's not going to be good for the future of the Bears. We'll see what happens, because Justin Fields is winning games now behind a competent offensive line. Not that he's doing that much, but they're winning games at a minimum. Not even putting up 20 points, but games are being won. We'll see what happens, though. Let me know what you think of these rookies. Who's in charge of the offensive rookie of the year right now? I think it's Jaden Daniels. Maybe it's even one of those receivers. But again, let me know what you think. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to preview Monday Night Football between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons. So stick around for that. We'll be right back here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.